Lovely. So I'll start off by saying hello and welcome to RightPath Consultancy's first podcast. It's quite exciting. We thought for our first topic, it's going to be quite informal anyway, but we thought for our first topic we'd actually talk about what makes a good and a bad advertising campaign. Considering there's some really good ones and some really bad ones out there. But we've all both picked one each, a good one and a bad one. We'll just kind of have a wee chat regarding that. Yeah, I can start off. Mine are two pretty classic ones. Talking of classic, we've got the Just Eat jingle for the Snoop Dogg. That was my favourite. Still stuck in my head. It plays before and after and during pretty much every single football game. I think you get it before kick-off, at half-time and after.
Do you think a jingle is always a safe bet?
If it's done
well. Do it well. Yeah.
Yeah, but did somebody say Just Eat is stuck in there? Especially because Snoop Dogg.
I do often now sing the Iron Brew version of Walking Through the Air instead of the actual version.
I don't even think I know the words to the actual version for that.
Yeah, but I know the ones to the Iron Brew one.
I generally don't know the words for that. If the Iron Brew adverts are pretty good, we were talking about that before we started recording. The goth ones, if you've not watched them, definitely watch them because they're too good. There's one I watched one this morning from like 1990 and it was John Barrowman was in it. It's Princess and the Frog. It's pretty cursed.
I also wonder how the Iron Brew ones translate if you're not Scottish or not British. Like I wonder how Americans would see that ad.
That's the good thing about the Snoop Dogg one because their brand menu log in Australia and New Zealand, they use the exact same advert, but they just instead of someone saying to somebody say Just Eat, they say menu log.
Yeah.
It's the same ring to it, but it still works. It's quite good.
Sophie, what was your good one?
My good one was the Real Beauty campaign for Dove. They've done a lot of different kind of marketing towards that. It was quite recently they've started kind of doing it more. I think probably with the rise of social media, wanting more body positivity. And the actual campaign was just a video where they hired a forensic artist to draw people based off how they describe themselves and then how a stranger describes them. And it just kind of shows how people's perception of themselves are completely different to how other people see them.
I did really like that.
Yeah. I think stuff like that always feels like very wholesome when it's like you don't necessarily feel like they're actually trying to sell you something. They are obviously, but like you don't walk away with that feeling. You walk away with like a slightly uplifted feeling.
Yeah, but even then, from an advert like that, you wouldn't automatically go out and think, "I'm going to buy Dove." It's just it's kind of bringing the issue to light, I suppose, because a lot of people generally do not know what they look like and do not think they look like what they see in the mirror, which is
yeah. Was it Dove that did the campaign of the Run Like a Girl? Have you seen that one?
Oh, I have seen
when
that.
It was like
I'm not sure.
They would ask like sort of like a younger girl, can you run like a girl? And she would just run. But as they got older, they would tell the girls like run like a girl, and they'd start like sort of I can't my hair and stuff like that. And like when do you get taught that running like a girl isn't just a girl running? Like it's like a bad negative thing.
I can't remember who done that, but I have seen it.
I've seen that one.
Wow.
And I know Dove did one. There was another one where they got these like little kids to put all these balls back in a tube, and it was a boy and a girl. It was usually a brother and sister, and they all did it. And then at the end, they all got like a reward for it. And the boys got like a massive thing of sweets, and the girls got like half of that. And then it was just like their reaction to it, and then all of them ended up sharing it equally because they got told you got less because you're a girl. They do kind of take a big stance on all of it. They are kind of a company that is known for their views and their values on that.
I think they do it well though, because it's always in like for that one was good because it was like if a child understands that's wrong, like why do we as a society not say that's wrong? And I think that's interesting because they're not really lecturing us, and it's not technical jargon that they're using as like evidence. They're just saying like it's really this simple, like you don't get more sweets because you're a boy.
Yeah, it's a little nudge that people need to start thinking about it. You probably end up thinking about that all day after watching it as well. Start contemplating why in your mind you think that, if you do think it. That makes sense. But yeah.
The one I looked at was like less politically minded, and I think it just did well with the BT ads where you followed a couple as they were getting together and the problems with their Wi-Fi and their internet and being on the phone all the time. But I think I liked it just because it eventually took on its life of its own, in that the last ads was they asked the public to vote about what was happening. I think there was like a slight suggestion that she had big news, and it was, I think maybe one of them was that she was sick and the other one was that she was having a baby. And so having the baby won. And I think the last ad with them was them at their wedding with this new baby. And it wasn't about BT anymore. It had become about the characters and the story that they'd followed, and then the public vote, which was, I think, a good campaign will always get people like involved, I think.
Yeah. That's like, I suppose, the long run ones like that, like compare the market with the meerkats, Alexander and
Sergey, wasn't it?
But that's been years. I can't even imagine how many years that's been. Oh, Sergey, did you say that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But they've been going for years. I can't imagine how many stuffed toys of those wee guys people must have. I mean, they brought like there's like kids in it and all that now. It's weird.
Yeah, I know. Actually, that one worked for me, but they did the thing with the cinema that you got a free ticket on one of the cinema days. So I got my travel insurance through them once or something.
Yeah.
But that again was related. It was like a Meerkat Monday or something like that. So if you went to cinema on Monday.
To be fair, yeah, wee things like that are brilliant.
I think involving the public in it just kind of makes them feel a bit more kind of noticed. And there was, who else did it? Walkers did it when, you know, the competition to make a flavour and everything.
Yeah, they do that every couple of years, every year, if not.
Yeah.
Some of them are dreadful, the flavours that come up with it.
So terrible.
No.
Speaking of terrible, what was your bad campaigns?
Well, mine was the classic. It's got to be one of the worst ad campaigns. The worst thought. I mean, the thought was there, but Kendall Jenner giving Riot Police a can of Pepsi to stop. Oh God, what were they thinking?
Because we were saying before that was a bit of a career killer for Kendall Jenner.
Yeah, you don't hear Kendall Jenner anymore. It's all Kylie now, isn't it? After that, after coming back from it, I just remember watching it when it first came out and thinking, honestly.
I think it was the climate as well. See, if they released that a few years ago, like it would have been bad, but it wouldn't have been as bad as.
I think so. Yeah, it was so like tone deaf.
Yeah, I don't. How many levels of marketing department and advertising department did that go through? From hiring Kendall Jenner at the first place to renting Riot Police uniforms.
I know.
Just someone somewhere along the line must have thought this isn't going to go down well.
Well, that's my thoughts on the one that I looked at, which was Sony introducing the new white portable game device and like a total game. Yeah, and the ad for it was a very white woman, looking very aggressively holding on to a black woman who looked very nervous and feeble and was disappearing into the background and being like, white is coming. Yeah. And it's just like, how many people did that go through?
Yeah, put that on billboards as well.
I know. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, you got to be very careful, especially like with the internet, because that came back around to bite them as well, even after they got rid of it. It's like nothing.
Yeah, because I think that was like 2008 or something like that. It's 2018 it came up again because somebody just tweeted it and it went viral.
Yeah, everything's saved on the internet. People forget that.
Once it's out there. That kind of brings into like my one, which it wasn't as bad. It wasn't really as tone deaf. I think it had good intentions. The Dove, in the same campaign for the Real Beauty, Dove released different bottles in all different shapes to kind of represent women's shapes and how women come in all different shapes and sizes. And the internet kind of took it and just trod on it. They didn't like it at all. The backlash kind of came from a place where they thought it if Dove's message was to unify people, that this was the wrong direction, and it was kind of placing more importance on the shapes and sizes rather than we're all the same underneath.
Yeah.
I can imagine the marketing team that probably put that together, and I don't know how many women were in it.
Yeah,
I know. I think the Dove one's an interesting one though, because I think with the Kendall Jenner one and then the Sony one, like we see that and we're like, we immediately know what's wrong with that one. But like the bottle one's a bit interesting because I could see that getting through a couple of people and they're like, yeah, different shapes for different women. But it's not until it's like out there that you're like, oh, actually, we're now bottling women. We're now like selling a size.
To be fair, I can say if someone came up to me with that, I would probably, like, first instinct would be like, oh, do you know what? That can maybe work. Obviously, I'd have to go through some looks first. But, I mean, the first reactions are always the scariest ones, especially if you think you've got such a hot idea. You're thinking, oh, my God, that's brilliant. It's like all the ones that have done the tweets, different ad campaigns. I know that Walker's did one, and it was like you could use a hashtag, and it would put someone's face in a video with Gary Lineker. I don't know if you remember that campaign. And people were tweeting with photos of like Hitler and Fred West and Jimmy Savile and all these horrible people. It was like Gary Lineker basically being like, oh, here's our champion or something like that. And it was, I think that lasted like half a day.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
It's just basically you can't let the internet have anything because they'll ruin it.
I know, because that's what makes it so hard. Is like, in one hand we're saying like, oh yeah, involve the public. On the other hand, we're like, do not let the public run with your campaign.
Oh, yeah, they're so far away.
Yeah, like that's one of the issues. That's what happened with the PlayStation ad as well. Like when it came back around, it became a viral meme.
Yeah.
And then that's what they were like known for. As soon as it becomes a meme, it's like out of your control, kind of.
Yeah.
So,
I know, it's so funny. Yeah.
very
I think
careful.
again, like Good Intentions is an odd one with like the Burger King one for International Women's Day.
Yeah.
Is that it just needed to go through just one more person. It's like that feeling of like one person needed to see where this was going to go wrong.
If they just started the tweet with that, then just taking a line, not a whole new, just a line, and then started off, it would have got the same reaction. But oh god, yeah.
I think it's what like it was the same with the Sony one that I looked at and the Burger King one. Is because they just tried to defend it for too long, and then their apology just felt a bit like lackluster. I think that's problematic as well because that's going to affect the brand moving forward.
Yeah, the longer you defend it, the less sincere the apology is always going to be. If you spend time and money defending something and then decide you want to apologise about it, I mean, it's never going to work.
I think the worst bit about that one is it wasn't even just like that the company was damaged, like it made the competitors seem better because they were then reacting to how the public was reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then it gives the competitors like an opportunity to be seen in a better light anyway.
People were looking back on other years' Women's Day campaigns as well and being like, why did you not do that? Why did you not just make it the Burger Queen? It was right in front of them the whole time.
I know.
That's quite interesting. Though there was a whiskey company in Scotland, and for International Women's Day, they changed the logo, which was I think it was just a man silhouette standing with some whiskey. They changed it to a woman. There was outcry about it. People didn't like it because they said like they were still stuck in the time of whiskey's a man's drink. It's the type of company it was. It was a very traditional whiskey. Yeah. So that was like filled with good intentions, and they didn't actually do anything wrong. Yet they ended up having to change it, and it was a woman who actually owns the company, ended up not apologizing to it, but kind of sticking up for it, but she did end up changing it.
No, it's funny. I think like the good intentions thing is interesting and sort of like, and of course every campaign is going to have its critics, but I think when there's like this major backlash to it, you really need to step back and remember why you did the campaign in the first place was to connect with your consumers. You can't then fight your consumers because you thought you did the right thing. Yeah,
you're never going to win, especially if it's on the internet. There's no point. There's no point.
Yeah.
The personalised campaigns in that sense work. I remember Call of Duty, the game, they talking about hashtags again because quite a lot of good stuff comes out of them. You could hashtag your ID and it would give you all of your stats for Warzone, one of their games, and it would give them all so you could share that with your pals and sort of compare. But there was no way that you could have did that maliciously. It's about not giving the consumer the option to mess about with it, really.
Do you guys share your Spotify roundup stuff?
I do.
Yeah, I share it like within like, in a group chat with my friends.
Mm.
But I think I have put it in my stories on Instagram before, actually.
I've done it a couple
Usually,
of years. It depends what my most listened to was. I think for like 3 years it was Bonkers by Dizzy Rascal, so I share it every year. Just being like, that's hilarious. But it's always a bit skewed because for me it's always the song that I start my playlist with. But even then I'll click on the first song, then shuffle it. But it's always going to be the most listened to the first one. So I think it was Tainted Love by Soft Cell this year. It's a pretty good song.
I saw it. I had my Monzo banking app gave me my yearly roundup this year, which is clearly they're picking off the back of Spotify. I was like, I just wouldn't share that. Like, I don't want everybody to know that the only shop that I was at this year was the Co-op. Like.
Especially when you see how much money on the subject of Just Eat, how much money you probably spent on that as well. As long as they don't give the times and it's like 3 a.m, Just Eat. Oh, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of companies do that, like Snapchat memories. They come up.
Yeah.
But half the time you don't want to see them.
I don't want to see a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, but some of them are quite weird to look back, especially when you've had the same account for quite a long time. Like, I'm looking back at ones of me 4 years ago from when I was in first year in uni, thinking, oh my god. But it's good to see them sometimes. Sometimes pretty quickly, but
I think the nostalgia trip is like working on a lot of people now. Like a lot of people are doing Remember When, and I think like the Iron Brew bottles, the original ones are coming back, and they did so well with the glass bottles with the original recipe. And I mean, obviously part of that is that people just prefer the original recipe, but I think the glass bottles gave it that like nostalgia thing that worked for them.
I still love a glass bottle because it tastes better out of a glass bottle as well. That's the big thing. Glass bottle can, plastic bottle always.
Yeah.
It's just the hankering for the old pre-sugar tax recipe. It's never going to go away. One day they'll re-release that.
Well, I think they have. I think there was an article the other day that said that they were bringing it back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So.
I saw that.
Creating the hype for it. Like once you create the hype for it, like I remember when I don't remember what type of Iron Brew it was, but there was a type, and everyone was going down the shops to buy it, and shops were advertising if they still had it in stock, and once you create the hype.
Remember that? Iron Brew tried to do it, but it's just such an iconic brand that you can't really mess about with the flavour too much.
Yeah. Oh, what's their one that's supposed to taste like the original, but it's diet? Is that the extra? Yeah.
Do you want to know a weird story? I think my mum was in the original focus group for that.
Oh, very nice.
You got to go and try them just before she was out.
I did not. Then I drink all my drinks are diet, so I'm very used to just drinking diet drinks to the point that I like only drink Coke now as like a medication, because it's if I have a hypo, I drink Coke. I don't like the taste of it. But I'm big on like a Diet Coke, so I don't have this investment in like the original Iron Brew coming back.
I'm quite bad.
But like, my brother does. He's obsessed. He's like, it's coming back. It's coming back.
It's just good for a hangover.
Yeah.
Telling you.
It's definitely a Scottish thing though, because like I never could really get it in England. Like here you can get it at McDonald's and Burger King. You can't do that in England. You can only really buy the bottles in the supermarkets, which isn't very popular. So it is such a different culture type thing. Even just with that.
Yeah. I wonder if their sales have gone down with the lack of tourists in Scotland.
Maybe.
Like I feel like tourists will always buy an Iron Brew, and if there's nobody over here, I wonder how big their drop in the market has been.
Probably been filled back up with the amount of lockdown hangovers and.
But then restaurants as well. Restaurants would have bought a huge amount of Iron Brew in pubs.
Pubs.
That's very true. So any last closing
Just trying to
statements?
think. I'm making wee notes and trying to think of what I can bring up, but not really off the top of my head.
Oh.
I think we really came to the conclusion that if you want to have a good advertising campaign, don't let the public mess about with it in any way.
Yeah. Be aware that everything is forever now.
Yeah, that, and for the love of God, stay away from Kendall Jenner. That's what I've got out of this.
Yeah. Pick your celebrities better. Don't let the public run away with your campaigns, and apologize if you mess up.
True. I do feel bad for Kendall Jenner though, because Pepsi kind of put her in the mud there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So shall I stop recording?
Yeah, I think so. That was good. There's got to be some good stuff in there.